Otra vez, bienvenidos y bienvenidas to PNN KXU, Poor People's Radio, for the people, by the people. Um, welcome, bienvenidos to Poor People's Revolutionary Radio on 96.1 on the dial in East Oakland and streaming live online at www.poormagazine.org/radio. This is your co-host Muteado Silencio, formerly houseless, con voces de migrantes en resistencia, with Poor Magazine in studio with Poor, formerly houseless, mi canala Poverty Scully, La Tiny.
Yeah, this is PNM, not CNN, people. What's up? Thank you, relatives, for tuning in. And yeah, we just say, here we are operating live and direct from the small part of unpimped, unpaid, unsold, untold Mama Earth that us houseless people call homefulness, a homeless people solution to homelessness. Mateo.
On today's podcast, Poor People's Radio, we will have our newest Ruthless Radio reporters from Camp Compassion in SoCal, Novato, aka Occupy Miwok territory. They'll speak about their struggle and resistance in their settled town, because yes, we are houseless in SoCal, Marin County.
Yeah, that's right. So one of the interesting and frightening parts of the settler colonial project called AmeriClan, aka Occupied Turtle Island, is there are spaces and places that are really the pinnacle of wealth hoarding and land stealing. The area known as, quote, Marin County, aka, occupied Miwok lands and other relatives that have been erased from colonial history and history, are one of those. There are literally homes there that are in the trillions, billions of dollars with a B, which I can't ever wrap my head around anyway, because why are we buying and selling Mother Earth? That is the root of the violence of so-called homelessness. But in that settler wealth hoarding town, of course, there are poor people. And oftentimes there are poor people that have no houses at all. There are poor people that are hiding, that are being violently swept like we're trash, that are being criminalized, that are having their cars and their boats and their RVs towed and ticketed, and essentially the same erasure project that they do in all of these settler towns. And then there's also resistance, right?
Also, want to remind you, Tanya, that also Marin, when we did stolen land hoard resources, someone ended up calling the Marine PD on us again for trying to bring the medicine of the stolen land hoard resources.
That's right. And it's really important. I'm glad you brought that up, because our relationship with that area is very complicated, because we do this thing we call the Stolen Land Hoarded Resources Tour, where we go to wealth hoarding neighborhoods and share the medicine of radical redistribution and community reparations, right? Which is a form of healing from the disease of wealth hoarding. But we went to that weird place called Tiburon, and they actually, a dude in a Speedo came running after us and called the police on us. Yeah, it was a whole thing. We always have a police escort anyway when we go to these towns, but that one took it to a new level. But in these towns, I do want to lift up that there's resistance. There's resistance to that kind of violence, just like there's resistance in Uchun and resistance in Vallejo and resistance in Sogorea. Shout out to our relatives at Vallejo Homeless Union. Shout out to Etna Street Solidarity and to Bongar and to Tavian Land. Shout out to Wood Street Commons, and shout out to Homefulness. So having said that, we have the blessing of having a new segment on Poor People's Radio, because you know how we do. We get down with all the crucial peoples in all of the stolen lands, which is from a powerful group of warriors known as Camp Compassion. And so this is our first official PNN Ruthless Radio segment from Camp Compassion, Welcome to Poor People's Radio, Robbie and Bambi, and anyone else is with us.
Hey, and Jan.
Hi, thank you for having us.
And Jason.
Thank you for
Jason,
being here.
thank you for having
Hey.
us.
That's what's up. It's our pleasure, family. So maybe we can start first of all just talking to listeners and viewers about what actually is happening in that area.
Well, you talked about resistance, and we've been doing a bit of that in Marin County for the last 5 years. Camp Compassion started out as we took over a public park right next to the downtown library. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, we dug our heels in. We so much so that the city tried to come out with an ordinance in 2021 to criminalize homelessness. We got in touch with the California Homeless Union. We were able to successfully get a TRO and then a preliminary injunction. And we settled out in court for a 2-year established camp that was self-governed. That was the difference. Police, we felt intimidated by police doing homeless outreach with a gun on their hip. And so we were able to, they couldn't come in unless there was a legitimate emergency. So it was basically like cop repellent. Security wasn't allowed in there. And during that time, the Novato kind of stepped up at that time, and they hired caseworkers. There were some grants for that. And by the time it was all said and done, we got 40 people permanently housed out of that camp, including myself. There were 6 people remaining when they closed the camp down, and then they criminalized homelessness in conjunction with that. So we now have 6 people that are over at a marsh area called a skate park, and we're fighting them right now, trying to keep them safe. And so it's that's a little history of what's going on there. It's a race to the bottom with these cities and municipalities trying to criminalize homelessness. All we want to do is try to keep people safe until they get the help they need, they deserve. Housing is a human right.
Woo. Bambi, did you want to add anything about your history with Camp?
I did. Well, we all got together, just happenstance in the park one day. It was a beautiful day, but we all wanted to do something for the outdoor community. We saw a need, and we were on the same path, basically on the same mission, I should say. But the city council did things like hired private security to sit outside of the camp. They weren't allowed inside, but they would sit outside and outside the library and so forth, and make it look like we were dangerous people, and just the whole stigma label. And that's why when we go to these city council meetings, and I remind them that the dialogue starts with them, and that if they were to actually utilize some kinder words and compassionate words towards their outdoor neighbors, the community would follow in tow. That's what I want to say.
That's what's up. Robbie, do you want to add anything?
Yeah. I mean, we've been defending it. We've been, and it's right now we're going through using the ADA right now, the disability laws, to try and get more relief, even like before any new litigation after the sanctioning camp that we had before got closed. Now we're using the interactive process, asking for disability accommodations under the Americans with Disability Act to get more relief. So even though we've moved to no location and we're out in an area that's visible, we've been there for 8 months, and so still no abatement, no
statement.
Right.
But a lot of fallout from the community neighbors.
Wow. Well, let me go back to that a little bit. Let me go back to the idea of the sanctuary, because, we did that big action in 2024, December, which was like a lot of other poor and houseless people, right? Demanding house keys, not handcuffs, sanctuaries, not sweeps, right? And I know that you all were fighting the system over there to try to get unquote sanctuary. I don't think people understand, you know, that word oftentimes is associated with relatives from the other side of the false borders, which also need sanctuary in the settler colonial lie of false borders. But when you talk about sanctuary, I think it's important to name what do you mean by that in relationship to, you know, poor and houseless people surviving barely on the street.
I don't know. To me, sanctuary is the safety to be able to sleep, to be able to get some rest, to have a community around you where if you have an errand you have to run, you know you can go and your stuff is still going to be there when you get back, where you're not going to have your belongings taken by the state, come home to have nothing, no blankets, no way to keep warm. We're safe. It's peer support. So you can call somebody in case of an emergency, right? All of our people have our cell phone numbers. They can call us at any time if they've got an emergency going on or if they need resources. So it's that community that uplifts people and gives them hope. Sanctuary is hope to me.
Mm,
That's what it means.
Ashe. Anyone else wanted to weigh in on what that looked like in quote unquote Marin County?
It's definitely not Money County. Well, maybe for select few.
Well, I think, oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Lynn.
Again,
That's
thank all of you guys, you know, warrior, for standing up and also showing that we as poor people can create our own solutions, right? And in our own autonomous communities, you know, this is what exactly what this is. You know, and not only that, but in these times too, we have witnessed to our people even taking care of some of these places of the parks and the places where they go and live. I want to ask because there was also an incident here in Oakland. I think it was more in Berkeley with a lonely party, where it was folks who were houseless communities and bothering nobody and actually keeping the park, you know, kept and again, you know, beautiful for the community. And somehow some of the hater neighbors start calling the city and the city council. I want to just to you know there in your situation again. You know, we know that this movement and what we need is houses communities and how and home communities, people who are got shelter themselves, understanding, you know, and not, instead of hating and calling the city, you know, understanding that folks are just trying to survive and actually are keeping our communities being communities.
You know, we worked hard on that aspect. We do a farmer's market booth that originally we were picketing it. Robbie and Jason picketed it for porta potties because we needed porta potties. It was the height of pandemic. And the next year we were invited to come. And so we set up an artist booth, and it was just a ruse to draw people in to talk about the issues that face people in Marin. So we've actually started a newsletter. 385 people signed up for that newsletter, which is pretty big considering Nevada's a really small town. And we're constantly educating people and inviting people to get involved to help out, either donating clothes or, you know, coming to a potluck dinner that we host in hopes that if you meet the people that are experiencing this, that the opinions will change, right? You get knowledge, you get educated as to what it is, and then your feelings change about it. So we're building an army here in Marin.
Woo!
Right on.
That's what's up. Yeah, and that's deep.
Right,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
we
brother.
got dinners every Sunday at the skate park, you know,
And Tuesday.
and
Wednesdays.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays now. Yeah,
Wednesdays, yeah.
Wednesdays.
Yeah.
We're getting almost every Wednesday covered now. Sponsoring organizations.
Yeah. But let's just
And
put it,
then Thursdays, we take them to
let's
the
just put it,
laundry.
there was a lot of community pushback. We had to fight hard for our camp. We took over the park. All said and told, we took it over for 5 years. And there were protests. Our tents were slashed. We had eggs thrown at our tent. We had videos taken of us, posted online. We had to do a lot of pushing back, and we did. We were able to do it. And just as much hate that we had people sustain our camp every day during that time by coming by and showing their, you know, lending their hearts, bringing supplies, bringing food. There wasn't a day that went by that somebody didn't donate something. So we really kind of pushed back on that hate and let love shine through. And you know, it really, you know, it was during the pandemic, and that gave us a chance to really dig in. Now with the Supreme Court flipping Grants Pass, it's a lot tougher right now, and we feel for everyone out there, and we're always there to help as much as we can for other communities that are hurting.
Exactly. Well, I just want to say so much love to that work,
Yes.
but I wanted to ask you a couple things. First of all, for listeners and viewers who don't know, what is the kind of what do they say, median income? I mean, what kind of, well, how what are we talking about in Novato? I mean, are there big houses? Is that mansion territory? Is that working
Standard
class?
rent. So standard rent for a 2-bedroom apartment right now is roughly $3,000 a month.
More than that.
That's the low end of it. You cannot find a 1-bedroom for under 2,200 in Marin County anywhere, let alone Nevada. So yeah,
Wow.
to be not considered impoverished, you have to make over 120,000 a year to be out of the poverty level here,
That's
which
insane.
is, it's
Well, and
insane.
right? Let's talk about right now with this the violent, Orange Cracker King taking away our last little crumb off the wealth order table, aka SNAP and WIC and all of the things us poor mamas and folks survive on. I just want to lift up the kind of radical redistribution that y'all are doing.
Yes.
We have the solutions. Forget these politricksters. I think there'll be more and more folks who are going to actually need to come to us because they don't even have any groceries, and y'all are, making sure food is available. What he said, Tuesday and Wednesday. So that's what's up. Also, before we close out, and Dia de los Muertos is coming up. Day of the Dead, the Samhain, practicing and honoring the ancestors that are close. I know that we lost some relatives in this violent war on the poor. The homelessness kills. I don't know if you could just talk a little bit about any of the ancestors that you have lost over the years through this, the violence of being outside. Let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of people who've passed. I would think I lived up Noodle.
Chris Hill. Chris Hill, my friend, my best friend, Christian monk, who took his own life out of the frustration that he was facing. Lift him up.
Mhm.
There was a 2-year stretch where in 1 year, 84 people died in Marin living on the streets.
Wow.
And that's just unacceptable for a small county. And it's been consistently in the 40s. It spiked 1 year, but we don't want to see any more death on the streets. That's just just so wrong.
Shame. Thank you for that. As we close out, Bambi, do you want to add any words? Mr. Bambi?
There's a church in San Rafael, the Presbyterian, I believe, that they read off the names of each person every year that we've lost out on the streets.
Oh, shame.
And it's cold and hard, but we definitely got to keep on doing things like utilizing our voice and our resources to spread the word and make the movement happen.
That part.
Change the mindset.
I was just gonna ask my sister Tiny to invite you guys to depression wheelchairs. And
Oh, yeah. We love to have, we did a movie about the violence of sweeping humans like we're trash, and Robbie's in the movie.
right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hey,
So
Hey.
One of the-
Right.
one of the
Our
actors.
own in-house movie star.
Hollywood star.
He's an actor
Yeah.
too.
Exactly. Many things. A revolutionary jailhouse lawyer outside of jail, an actor, a badass. Okay.
Badass.
All of you are. We actually made a no budget movie. It's a feature film. It's about our lives, because we had lives, right? Before we were on the street. We're not just the homeless people. We're humans,
right.
right? And I get a witness on that. So anyway,
Amen.
right? It's going to be playing at the Roxy November 9th, and it's going to be at the New Parkway in Uchun, Oakland on December 6th. And if you
Yeah.
want to get in, we can comp tickets. We just need to let you tell Robbie and we'll get you in.
Okay.
And I'll
We would
Yeah.
love to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
cracking that for sure.
Good.
hey,
Tickets
Okay.
start at $3
Yeah.
anyway. We're making them extra affordable. You already know how we do. We just love you family so
It's
much.
just their way they can
And
Back at you, Tiny. Back at
Yeah.
you.
How
Much
can
love.
people support
Much love, Tiny.
Oh, back at you. How can people support Camp Compassion? Give us a final word on that.
Well, they can. I can give you my email address. It's
Okay.
it's spacin101@gmail.com.
Yeah, and come out to the skate park on a Sunday.
1200.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
Novato.
1200 Hamilton Parkway.
yeah.
4:30
Sweet.
p.m. Sundays.
That's
Okay,
right.
there you go. That's our date. All right, family.
All
We'll
right.
talk to you soon. Camp
Thank you guys,
Compassion.
man.
All
Oh,
right.
Okay.
Much love.
Much
All your
love.
work.
Much love.
all
Peace.
right. All
All right,
right.
go team.
That part.
Go team. That's
Uh,
right.
yes. You're listening and watching Four People's Radio on PNNKEXU 96.1 FM. We're so blessed to have street warriors who are currently in the struggle. Again, shout out to our relatives from Etna Street Solidarity, into Bongar and Tatavian lands, to Wood Street Commons and Ochun, to our relatives in Yalamu Coalition on Homelessness, and of course to us right here at Homefulness. There is a violent war on the poor, family, violent. And yeah, the settler colonial terrorists who currently inhabit the white people's house are taking our one last little crumb away. At AKA SNAP, CalFresh, EBT, food stamps, whatever you want to call it, it was our food crumb. And as a person, as a recipient myself, yeah, I'm definitely disturbed. I'm very scared, but I'm also scared for my relatives, for so many families and children who will be starved by this act. And I want to just lift up that politics ain't nothing but a trick, and they have never held love for us. We are just uh, a chess thing on a chess board to move one way or the other, or like our current politics or governor to use when he was running for mayor as a way to get into office. Yes, Governor Newsom used to be Mayor Newsom of occupied Yalamu, Frisco, and came into office on the homeless problem. I always say I am your homeless problem. That said, in occupied Ochun, we have another violent politrickster who we've reported on before, aka so-called Ken Houston, who has proposed a policy in Ochun, in occupied Oakland, that will effectively make it illegal to be houseless in Oakland. Now, you could say that there's already settler laws on the book that make it be illegal to be houseless, right? So I'm not even sure what he's doing, because they've been violently sweeping up to 6 communities a day. I don't use the word encampment, that's a military industrial complex word. Up to 6 encampments a day, 6 communities a day. Now, I'm not exaggerating. If you saw last week's show, you met some of the relatives who are at the Homefulness Hotel Fund, who are literally had their entire lives decimated within minutes. Their RVs they were sleeping in. Elders, mostly gravely disabled, black and brown elders. That's who they're violently removing, by the way. Your grandmama, your auntie, your uncles. So what is actually Ken Houston doing? Is it really any different? Or is it just codifying the violence? Well, we have the blessing of doing a lot of poor people led media because we need to be heard in our own voices about this. But we also have our beautiful youth scholars, youth poverty scholars, many black and brown and poor, formerly houseless youth who actually care about things like this. And that's part of what we teach them at Decolonize Academy, how to fight back, how to resist, and also the truth. So our youth scholars had a special guest today, which is revolutionary lawyer James Birch
Right
from
on.
Black Solutions Lab. We love you, James. Teacher James, Papa James. And so we're going to watch a little bit of an interview that the youth scholars did with Brother James about this violent encampment abatement policy. Yeah.
My name is Shreya with the Youth Poverty Scholar Radio, and I'm here with James Hertz attorney with the AEP. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, what's really important in this moment is that we as organizers and educators get out into our community and make sure people know what's happening, right? Not only about the EAP, but about housing justice in general, right? There's a narrative going around in the city that houselessness is the fault of the people sleeping outside. And that couldn't be further from the truth. And we really need to flip that narrative and make sure that all of the housed folks in Oakland and beyond understand that they are a part of our community and they have a collective responsibility alongside us to solve this problem, right? And the only way we're going to solve this problem is to be prioritizing our dollars towards helping and healing as opposed to criminalizing and punishing.
Ashay.
Hello, my name is Zaire, and I'm here with
James Birch.
Okay, today my question is, what is the first step City of Oakland could take to help abolish homelessness?
The first step that we could take to abolish homelessness is to address our out of control police spending, right? The major problem that the city of Oakland is facing is it spends about 40% or 40 cents out of every dollar in our general fund goes to the police, right? To the tune of almost $400 million per year, right? When you're spending that much money on police, you don't have enough money to spend on everything else. That means every other service across the city is left with less money than it needs, whether it be Parks and Rec, or our libraries, or our housing services, or our really anything that we rely on the city for. And so we're in a situation where we never have enough resources to pay for the things we need, right? It's also not just the city's responsibility. There's also money that's supposed to come from the county and the state and the federal government, but at each level, the problem is the same, right? The prioritization of those dollars, where those dollars go, is towards jails and prisons and policing, right? Instead of towards the things we need to make sure everyone stays housed and happy and healthy.
One.
Hey, my name is Avery. What was I supposed to say? Oh, yeah. What's your name?
My name is James. Nice to meet you, Avery.
Nice to meet you.
Do you have a question for me?
Why the police spends a lot of money on sweeps?
The police spend a lot of money on sweeps, and we spend a lot of money on police because that is what we're pretending is the solution to make people safe, right? We all know here, and really the politicians know too, that it's not working and not gonna work, right? But it's how they stay politicians, right? If you are a politician in the city of Oakland or really any city in the country, and you say you don't think the police are working and that we need to find another solution, very quickly you will be out of a job, right? Very quickly you'll be out of a job. And so it's very difficult to have a rational, a reasonable conversation about police, which creates conditions that allow for what's happening right now. Is we're spending all this money on sweeps. No one's asking where the money comes from. No one's asking if it's going to work, right? All they're saying is, okay, I guess we have something that we're doing now to address the sweep situation. And there won't really ever be a critical inquiry as to what actually happened and whether the money that we spent actually achieved its goal.
Wow. That's deep. And I just want to lift up. Oh wait, here's our last interviewer.
School of Homelessness, Decolonized Academy Homelessness, and right now I'm with a scholar named James, and we're gonna be talking about him.
Hey everyone, my name is James. I started the Black Solutions Lab. We're an organization based in Oakland that helps Black-led community-based organizations with campaign strategy and policy and really deciphering how to make the change they want and empower the people in their communities.
So I just want to lift up, first of all, let's give some serious love to our youth scholars.
Yes.
That was beautiful. I also want to say that our youth scholars, along with us mama scholars and uncle scholars at Homefulness Decolonized Academy and Poor Magazine, are putting forth a moratorium on sweeps, led by the young folks. Their immediate decision after hearing and learning about this, and also standing and sitting and talking with fellow poverty scholars because they go down and practice roofless radio and street newsroom in the communities was that why do they keep happening, right? And why do we keep allowing them to do it? And the beautiful part of the simplicity of that is there is no reason. And I think it's important to lift up what James said, which is that they purposely confuse, right? There isn't a clear through line about why we are actually just moving people around from one place to the other, about why they don't listen to poor people-led solutions like Wood Street Commons has been putting forth, right? Like so many other relatives, like Homefulness. Why don't they listen to us? Well, there's no JOB in self-determination. That's real. In other words, there's no money, right? So I think it's important, again, for us to just think that politics ain't nothing but a trick, but also that we have voices. One of the things that James taught the youth today was that, we are paying taxes to actually pay for this violence. That's insane, but it's real. And what do? Is you have to exercise your human rights and make sure that your voice is heard. So it's a fine line because I also don't want to sit for hours in meetings where we're not really being heard, right? But next Tuesday, November 4th, which is also election day, I guess, election day, there will be a hearing at Oakland City Hall. I probably call it something else if you ever heard me talk, but we're on the FCC dial right now. Oakland City Hall, the hearing on this politricksters bringing this violent policy in, and we are asking people to turn out.
Yes.
Right. Please show up. Our youth will be there. They'll be speaking. We'll be there. We'll be speaking. And I really, at the end of the day, I urge folks, these kinds of meetings, albeit really boring and like, time sucking and wasting, do matter because they have to record people's voices on this and they want to just act like people don't care. And the only reason they had to table the policy before is that over 300 people showed up and spoke up. So we urge people to come out.
Yes.
It really does matter. Again, next Tuesday.
Yeah, and I think also we have to remind folks like Ken Houston, they actually work for us.
Sure.
The city council people, instead of blabbing and shaming houseless communities, he should go back into his office and figure out how to build sustainable housing, not temporarily, right? And he needs to figure out how he can keep supporting Wood Street Commons and Homefulness and projects and things that actually are housing people. All that blabbing and you hanging out in different places and following, harassing poor people. Get to work, man. Go into your office and make some phone calls and get your butt to work.
Okay.
And this thing about harassing poor people, our folks are dealing with enough than dealing with this city council bully.
That part.
Go ahead and sit in your office, figure out some housing.
Okay.
They haven't built housing. There's a housing crisis because they have not done their job.
That part.
So do your job, man, and stop blabbing and shaming people.
That part. And not even that.
Sorry,
No, you real. Stop blabbing, Ken Houston. That's a great, that's a t-shirt.
Start doing something.
Right.
And
But-
just sweeping people is not changing anything.
Right. And one of the things they did, though, it's really important. People don't know this. Because they're violently sweeping people up to 6 communities a day. They didn't even have a place to go. So he cuts a hole in a sanctioned RV campground and snuck in and walked through there. That was sanctioned by the city, knucklehead. But he knew that. He's just setting us up because those kinds of politricksters are working for big developers and their goal is hate. Their goal is who's going to get the check and who can I hate.
Yeah. And shame on him too, right? Like he goes, those are people's homes.
That part.
Will he like someone coming in his home and cutting a piece of his fence to go
That part.
in? And
That
come
part.
on, dude, what
Yeah.
are you doing?
Exactly. So we urge you guys, please come out if you can, Tuesday, November 4th at 9 a.m. to Oakland City Hall. Speak up against this encampment abatement policy, which should be called, as I renamed it, encampment murdering policy, because you're killing us.
Yes.
These sweeps are killing us. I do want to put out one last announcement. Please come out to the movie Crushing Wheelchairs. It is a no budget movie by us poor poets and cultural workers about the violence of sweeping humans like we're trash. We're victims of that. We're sweep survivors and we're resistors. But it's also very important for Dia de los Muertos because we honor relatives like Luis Góngora
Right.
Pat, like Luis Tamaj,
Yes.
burned alive for sleeping outside
Right,
in the so-called Mission District of the Alamo. We honor Stephen Taylor, killed by police in a, so-called Walmart, right? We honor Shannon Marie Bagley, run over by a bulldozer, and James Edward Oakley. We honor relatives and ancestors that no one else speaks about, and it's a beautiful movie too. So come and support a no-budget movie. We had to rent the venue, so we have to pay down the rent. But tickets start at $3, and if you can't afford them and you're watching and hearing us, just DM us because we comp all houseless poverty scholars in for free. This ain't about making money. This is about making sure the medicine of our own solutions and our own art and our teatro and our poesia is out there because that's a solution too.
So again, family, thank you to Weston and the ones and twos helping us again break to this digital divide as we're coming to you direct on these live streams. So that's all for this edition of Poor People's Radio. To get our complete podcast, you can go to Poor Magazine on SoundCloud or poormagazine.org or whatever you get your podcast from. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, X, Blue Sky, at Poor Magazine or at Poverty Scholar or Poor News Network. Our power to the people.